don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. That's a direct order. Do it now.
He's been put down, ripped off, cut open. Now he's unleashed. The American insurgency starts now. This is Rusty Humphries, Rebellion Radio.
Hello. Welcome. How are you? My brother from another mother, my sister from another mister. Welcome. It is the Monday edition of the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. We are being powered by Right Wing News, brought to you by Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream, Wax RX, and DerMend, which is a great skin care product. If you're a senior and your skin is not feeling the way you want it to, it's a great product. I'll tell you more about that coming up in a little bit. Check in if you would, please. Right now, where are you? Who are you? What's on your mind tonight? Lyndon's checked in. How you doing? Donald's checking in. What's up, Rusty? Ricardo saying, hey, Ricky. Hey, Rusty. Ricky's checking in. How you doing? I know you've seen the video, and everybody's been talking about it all freaking weekend long. Talking about, of course, what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. The Klan versus Antifa. Although the only thing you're hearing in the media is right-wing, racist Nazis. Basically, they got their comeuppance. I have no tolerance for the Nazis. None whatsoever. But something stinks here. And I want to get into it. Rod's checking in from the High Rockies. Brian's there from New Jersey. Kimberly is from... where's Kimberly at? Sorry, Kimberly. Man, my feed has gone crazy. Kimberly's in South Carolina. Thank you. Jacob is there. South Texas. Sylvester. Hello. Aaron, Kansas. 40 miles from the geographical center of America. Awesome. Frank's in rural Kentucky. Sylvester's there. Frank is from Central PA. The hate needs to stop. You're right. Herb's got a big one there. I don't have a chance to get to it right this second. Rochester, New York. Hello, Kimberly. Jerry is in Kentucky. Mo says this craziness needs to stop. Yes. Terry's in a house from Plant City, Florida. Reggie, why is Antifa not being called out as in instigating too? I'm getting there. Portland, Oregon's where Jeff is. Hey, Jeff, I love Portland. I used to live there. I used to work at a Z100 there years and years ago, back when I was Hollywood Humphreys. All right, lots of other people. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to try to say hello. Keep checking in. John's checking in from his Buick. I brought this flag out. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see it. This is a flag, American flag. It's in a plastic baggie. If you can see real closely, there's dirt. This bag has not seen air since February of 1969. This is the flag that draped my father's coffin when he came back from Vietnam and was buried in Pinole, California. As you can imagine, this flag means a lot to me. And people always say, why don't you put it in a better container? And I think about it a lot. But also, I mean, this thing has been around, 47 years? Something like that? Just like this. I do not believe my father fought and died for the crap that's been happening in our country. I don't. And to be honest, I'm pretty pissed off about it. Excuse my language, but somebody has to set it straight. And I want to get your take in just a few minutes here. Colonel Allen West has been a good friend of mine in this program for a long time. Of course, he was a congressman for a while. And he's got a great blog and a website. Now, for those of you who don't know, he's a black guy. Why do I bring that up? Because everything seems to be revolving around race today. It's all about race. I got white privilege, I hear. Now, I don't know what that means because I sure as hell haven't seen any of it. But we'll get into that in a little bit too. But let me share with you what Colonel West wrote earlier today, because I thought it was very powerful. And again, Colonel West is a guy that put his life on the line for our country. He got in a lot of trouble for saving his own soldiers because our country is so sissified, wussified, and candy-assed that when he tried to get a terrorist who was trying to kill his soldiers, kill his men in Iraq, and he scared the guy a little bit, they drummed him out of the military. So Colonel West writes, "Let me begin by saying I deplore any form of supremacist view. White, black, Hispanic, Islamic. I will be the first to openly state and embrace a sense of American exceptionalism and supremacy that is rooted in our founding principles and values. Any and all else that is contradictory is to be condemned. So let me seek to assess what really happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. First of all, may God rest the soul of 32-year-old Heather Heyer, who tragically lost her life. My sincere condolences to her and her family and those others who were injured. I fully support seeking the death penalty for 20-year-old James Alex Fields, Jr. of Ohio, who committed this horrific act of violence. But how did we get to this place? This all began because someone decided, as other elected officials have across the country, to cave into political partisan pressures and seek to erase American history. History is not there for us to love or to hate. History is there for us to learn from and to seek to not repeat its mistakes. If there are those who truly believe we protect ourselves by trying to revise history due to false emotions, then we miss out on who we are as a nation and our evolution. The statues of long since deceased leaders of the Confederate Army, they don't stand to remind anyone of oppression. And if a statue can oppress you, then I submit you've got greater issues. I certainly didn't appreciate former President Barack Obama taking a photo op in Cuba before the image of Che Guevara. But I don't go to nor do I enjoy seeing anyone wearing his image on T-shirts here in America. But I don't go into some whimsical state of oppression because of it. And so it is that we do possess, in this constitutional republic, a freedom of speech and a freedom of expression. It would appear that said group who didn't wish to see the statue of Virginian General Robert E. Lee, who was a commissioned U.S. Army officer, a graduate of West Point, who served the nation in the Mexican War, they didn't want to see it taken down, and so they applied for a permit to hold a rally. We may dislike these individuals, but they did take the proper measures to secure permission to express their First Amendment right. Now, contrary to the position, the word went out for a counter-protest to occur, which included groups from different sides of the political spectrum, who have also been very guilty of hateful rhetoric and violence. What should have happened is that these two groups should have been kept miles apart. I don't understand why any local law enforcement agency would allow these two groups in close proximity. First lesson learned. And we must also ascertain, did the counter-protest groups seek permit, or did they just show up in order to provoke and elicit a response that they could use politically? Yes, motivations are important to understand in this case. If we're serious about getting to the bottom of what happened in Charlottesville and not just the typical media-driven frenzy. I find it rather odd that so many people are seeking to lay blame on President Trump for what happened in Charlottesville. And there are still some voices out there who want to blame all white people and all Republicans. How odd that when it was the new Black Panther Party outside a voting precinct in Philadelphia in black fatigues with clubs, nothing was said. As a matter of fact, they weren't even prosecuted for voter intimidation. And when in the riots in Ferguson and Baltimore, fueled by the media false narratives and a presidential administration's rhetoric, there was no blame laid on Barack Obama. It appears to me that there is a blatant hypocrisy when it comes to individual who commits a horrible crime, such as in Charleston, South Carolina, and a collective group of people that are to be held accountable. But when there's an Islamic terror attack, people say, well, we can't rush to judgment. Or, oh, this isn't indicative of all of Muslims at all. And yes, I agree with that. But why not call the enemy for what it is? Militant Islamic terrorism or jihadism. Why must some of us be browbeaten into condemning the actions of a few, yet we have others who will fully admit their support to groups calling for a resistance? And where were the voices to condemn the violence in Washington, D.C. on Inauguration Day? Or even at UC Berkeley when Milo Yiannopoulos went to speak? Or the violence committed against those who support the current president or who hold beliefs aligned with the constitutional conservatism? If we want to condemn groups such as the neo-Nazis and others, we must also condemn groups like Black Lives Matter and Antifa. And we need to stop the cherry picking. They should all be investigated. Let's end this absurdity of trying to connect the Republican Party with the Ku Klux Klan. It was a creation of the Democrat Party. Let's not forget, Senator Robert Byrd of West Virginia was infamously known as a grand wizard of the Klan. And he was lauded over at his memorial by Barack Obama and Bill and Hillary Clinton. It was Senator Byrd who was vehemently against the Civil Rights Act of 1964. But it was Republican Senator Everett Dirksen who supported its passage. James Alex Fields will be punished to the full extent of the law. And I truly believe he should never see the light of day again. But if we blindly do not realize that there has been an atmosphere of hatred fomented in this nation, we are ignorant. Who even remembers the fella who attempted to gun down several Republican members of Congress at a baseball practice, severely wounding Representative Steve Scalise? Mainstream liberal progressive media pushed that aside rather quickly. And let's not forget MSNBC commentator Joy Reid, who on her Sunday show actually sought to justify Representative Scalise's shooting because of his voting record. Where was the condemnation there? And why is it that Ms. Reid still has her job and a show on that network? Then you have the plagiarist Fareed Zakaria, praising the Central Park play depicting a Caesar-like stabbing death of President Trump. Last time I checked, that dude was still on CNN. And how many Democrat elected officials who were pressured into making statements of condemnation of Kathy Griffin, who notoriously held up the bloody severed head of resembling Donald Trump, where were those Democrat officials in condemning her? There is plenty of guilt to be passed around. But the progressive socialist left will sadly exploit this for all they can. They will horribly believe that this will provide them some sort of an electoral advantage. They fail to realize that they're just as complicit in what happened in Charlottesville. If we were to go back and ponder this incident and just let a small group of disaffected individuals hold a rally to protest the possible shaking down of a statue of General Robert E. Lee and nobody had shown up, what would have happened? Instead, and I'd like to see this investigated, who made the call? Who called all of those thousands of people from around the country and told them to come to this little pissant city with a bunch of little pissant racists Who called them and got them there to cause the trouble? Maybe if we had courageous elected officials who would just say, those statues aren't offending anybody, they're a part of American history, and they stay, probably wouldn't even be a story or a rally or violence. What happened in Charlottesville must not be allowed to happen again. And that means we need to hold any group responsible that promotes that violence. What do we want? Dead cops. When do we want them? Now. Pigs in a blanket. Fry them like bacon. None of that. No more. Stops now. Our streets are not the place for hoods and masks. Not like these a-holes at Antifa. Their violence, their destruction of property, it's got to stop. We got to call them out. You can't have this selective enforcement mentality rooted in political hackery. If we don't stop this blatant hypocrisy, which is truly the problem, then we're sitting on a powder keg, which I believe some people want. I have an idea. If y'all want to fight, sign up for the U.S. military if you meet the standards. There are plenty of folks who do indeed hate the United States. Why don't you channel your angst against them, not against other Americans? I know that was a long monologue for Facebook and for a podcast. But I think Colonel West wrote some very wise words. You know, how many of you remember the book 1984 by George Orwell? Remember what that was about? They changed the news. They changed words' meanings. We are not learning from our lessons of history. And then we got dumbasses that want to remove the statues? Let's remind people, why do we study history? You know. Why do we study history? Because we know the past tends to repeat itself. And if you can understand the past, you have a pretty good idea of what could happen in the future. And then the problem is that we never learn from the past. We never learn our mistakes. Where do you think this is all going? Now, there's a lot of people out there that are yelling about the alt-right. Oh, the alt-right is causing this stuff. I've been a conservative for a long time. And I have been in the conservative movement for a long time. I was one of the top Tea Party speakers around the country. I ain't never heard of no alt-right until about 6 months ago. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Oh, you've got this one anti-Semite guy, and he's out there speaking, and I forget his name, and to be honest, I don't care. But a lot of this seems way too convenient. There were guys who used to be Democrats. All of a sudden, they're Republicans, and they're not just Republicans, they're alt-right, and now they're racists, and they hate black people, and they hate Jews. I don't know. I don't know how you go there in 6 months. Every time I have met somebody at a rally that had any kind of a racist or Nazi or any kind of thing, they held signs or whatever, and I'm talking 100% of the time, every single time, I found that they were a phony. That they were somebody from the left. And see, what they do is, what the left does, is they do a lot of projecting. Well, if I was a hater like Republicans, what would I do? Well, I'd be in the Klan, they say. I've never seen a Klansman except Robert Byrd. Heck, I lived in Georgia. Now, we do know when you look at the history of the Klan was the military wing of the Democrat Party after the Civil War. The other thing I always find is that whenever you see some guy dressed up in a Klansman outfit, it's always a leftist. Always. I just saw a picture of a little kid in a Klansman outfit going up and touching the shield of a police officer. $10,000, I bet you. That kid's parents are Democrats. Because they can't tell the truth. They got to lie. Let's check in. Would you do me a favor, please? Would you share this video right now? Share it right now. Give us some thumbs up, some hearts, whatever emoji you have. Hit that a few times and comment right now. This is one of those shows where I want to hear from you. Because the left, CNN, MSNBC, if you're on a Facebook page like Right Wing News or watching a talk show host like Rusty Humphries, they assume you are racist. They assume that you're supporting the Ku Klux Klan. I think that is one of the most disgusting, idiotic thoughts I've ever heard of. And then again, why is it the Antifa guys, the guys that always cause trouble everywhere they go, and they're all over the place, nobody says anything to them? And these are the same a-holes who, did the Occupy Wall Street thing. And boy, did you ever look into that one? How many rapes happen at Occupy Wall Street? I mean, this is a group that is mentally sick. They're sick in the head. And the media wants to blame conservatives. So have you checked in? Have you made your comment? Have you shared this video? I'm going to get to them in just a second. I actually had to use this book this past week. It's a book I wrote. It's called 7 Ways to Win Political Debates with Your Liberal Family and Friends and Still Keep Them as Family and Friends. And in this political environment, as it gets worse and worse and worse, you need the tools in this book to help you step around the landmines that the liberals want to lay in front of you. It is no longer time where we just give up and walk away. Now, I do give you tips on how to not fight. I do give you tips on how to make that liberal jackass who goes to the family picnic, I teach you how to make him look like an idiot. But I also give you some very powerful techniques that all conservatives need. And so do yourself a favor. I put this on sale to the end of August. It's my birthday month, so I'm giving you the deal. It's at Amazon, only at Amazon. It's available in paperback. It's available in ebook, Kindle, and it's also available on Audible, an audiobook version. Check it out, would you please? 7 Ways to Win Political Debates with Your Liberal Family and Friends and Still Keep Them as Family and Friends. It is an important book. It's funny. It's interesting. But there are some very, very important things to learn, especially in this time when America is as divided as they are and families are as divided. I don't know about you, but I don't want to lose my family. But I got liberals on my family too. They don't mess with me anymore, though. They may do a comment here or there. But there's never a war anymore, I promise you that. They've learned their lesson. All right. Let's see. Nicole is checking in from Southern California, not a liberal. Thank you, Nicole. Mark is checking in from Savannah, Georgia. Rick is in Oklahoma. Diana's in Mississippi. Dale is in North Carolina. Bobby's in Nashville. Terry in Louisiana. Dennis in Maryland. Rodney's in Lubbock, Texas. Jeff is in Central Wisconsin. Stephen Lakehead, how you doing, Steve? Is in Roseville, Georgia. That's my father-in-law. Homer's there in Florida, and Dolly's there, and Brenda's checking in. Hi, Rusty, Florida here. Jenny's from Twin Cities, Minnesota. First-time listener. Hi, Jenny. I hope you like the show. I'm a little bit ticked off more than normal today. But I think it's important that we tell the truth. Here's something you won't see in the media. I'll bring this video up in just a second here. One of the reporters that was there at that Charlottesville protest. And now there is a little bit of language, so I'm going to ask you to understand and forgive that. But I want you to see what happened. And again, as everybody's trying to blame the Klansmen, and again, I don't support those idiots at all. Oh, how you doing? Hey, I got 2 or 3 teethus left. How you doing? But I do agree that we don't need to be taking down statues. And every time somebody gets offended by something, we all cry, well, I don't want to see it. Well, I don't want to see a whole bunch of crap of Barack Obama. That offends me. Nobody looking to take down Barack Obama crap. Deborah says, the nationalists had a permit to protest. Antifa did not. Hope they can sue. Hate does need to stop. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for checking in. Leslie and Dave and Jim and JT and Matthew and Chris and Billy and everybody, thank you. Maryson's worried about I may say the wrong thing on Facebook and they'll shut me down. That's possible. Okay. Patriot Peggy, thank you. And Jerry has a question here. No, actually, I'm going to play the video first, and then we'll get to Jerry's question because it's a good question. Then we're going to get to your comments here on the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. This is a reporter. There's a bunch of reporters on the street. I don't know who this reporter is. I don't know who she's reporting for, but it's right as the car crash happens. It is a little bit graphic. I apologize for that, but I want you to see not just what happened that moment, because I know you've seen that a million times, but how the left handled themselves. And as usual, they handle it like children. Here we go.
Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit!
Lauren, I'm sorry, please put that away. I understand, can you please put that away?
Please put that away.
Dog, we're fucking recording! Hey, look.
Okay. So this is very typical for leftists. They'll come up nicely. Will you please stop recording? And you go, no. And then you realize it's not a request, it's a demand. And usually it begins with foul language and generally ends with violence. And this isn't anything new. This is what the left does all the freaking time. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of every time they don't get their way, it's okay for them to attack. It's okay for them to steal and rob and loot and rape and do whatever the hell they want to do because, well, they're on the right side. No, they're not on the right side. Dennis is from New Mexico. Peace be with you, brothers and sisters. Charles says, if they marched and no one was there, it was done and over with. The people came out to start trouble. It was inevitable. Dave saluted my father. Thank you, Dave. Thank you guys for kind words about my father. If you're just joining, I showed this flag. If you're just joining us. This is the flag that, again, it's been in this plastic cover for 40-something years. I think 47. This is the flag that covered my father's coffin when he came home from Vietnam, killed in action, serving his country, doing his duty. I do not believe my father fought and died for this country for dumbasses like Antifa. I don't. I do believe in their freedom of speech. And you can say what it is you want. You can be as stupid as you want. But when that speech turns into the realm of the physical, when you start spitting, hitting, breaking phones, stealing, making a mess, whatever they do, time and 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 time again, when you move into the realm of the physical, that's not speech. And I want to know why the cops aren't arresting people. Why don't we arrest people? You break the law, you break stuff, oh, well, they're on the left, so we got to leave them alone because they're crybabies. Stop it. Arrest them. Throw them away. Paul says, you cannot remove a Confederate monument. They are protected by law as veterans' memorials. Learn the law. Hey, Paul, I wish you were right. And it may be the law, but these politicians don't care. These are the biggest candy-ass wussies on the planet. Every one of the politicians, Democrat and Republican. I'm sick of all of them. There's not a backbone between the 434 of them. 435. Or is it 535? I don't care anymore. All of them are idiots. Dolly thinks the country's going to destroy itself from the inside. Jessica says, your chubby face is getting red. Well, thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. George says, Jessica, go right to hell. You go right to hell. No, listen, if Jessica wants to come on here and insult me because I have a chubby face, again, she can't attack my reason or my logic. She does what every liberal does. And again, I talk about it in my book. They have no argument. It's all emotion. If they can't win in the argument, they'll call you fat. Or the golden card. The card they hold in their hands and they can't wait to toss it. Yep, the race card. Woo! I could call him a racist. I'm sure I haven't read down the scroll yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jessica called me a racist because that's all they got. It doesn't have to mean anything. I mean, to the people on the left, it's much worse to be a racist than it is to kill babies. Let's see. Jacob, Chucky, and Jim, thank you for your kind words. Douglas says, Rusty, I have my father's flag in a cherrywood case. He was in the Korean War. Ron says, see the movie Agenda. It's here. Matt says, sick of all the country being divided. Sick of the non-Americans in the country. I saw a stat today. It came from Ann Coulter. Let me bring it up because it's kind of interesting. I haven't had a chance to check the numbers, but Ann is usually pretty accurate. She says, the National Academy of Sciences cost figures represent a mixture of costs for legal and illegal immigrants. The RAISE Act is focused directly on low-skill illegal immigrants. Oops, and I hit the button, and now here we go. Since low-skill legal immigrants receive more benefits, their fiscal impact is greater than similar illegal immigrants. The net present value for a legal immigrant with a high school degree or less is around negative $170,000. And the undiscounted long-term fiscal cost minus benefits minus taxes would be $476,000 in constant 2012 dollars. Over the last decade and a half, an average of 470,000 low-skill adult immigrants, both legal and illegal, have arrived in the U.S. each year. The net present value of this inflow is around negative $67 billion a year. So illegal immigration costing us $67 billion per year. That's a pretty big stat, Ann. That's a pretty big stat. Oh, Jessica. You know, I don't really normally comment on trolls because they're sad human beings and they're looking for attention. But Jessica said poop on the flag, and misspelled poop, by the way. That's how intelligent she is. How do you misspell poop? She misspelled poop. That's how smart you are, Jessica. Rick thinks the riot was set up. Sebastian thinks until Soros is dead, this will get worse. Penny says, thank you for sharing. People like your father is why we have our country. We need a lot of work. I have kids in the military myself. Good for you, Penny. Clinton is checking in from Longview, Washington. Jerry thinks these things will continue to happen and continue to get worse if we don't fight. The question is how do we fight without getting into the realm of the physical? I hope we're not that far gone. Do you think it's too late? God, I hope not. Let's see here. Guys, don't worry. Jessica, this is Jessica's 15 minutes of fame, and now we're going to ignore her now because she's just a silly little girl. Jessica, Mommy and Daddy going to make you turn off that computer pretty soon. You better put away your dirty sexting pictures because you're going to get in trouble. Have you checked in yet today? Have you told people that you're watching this? Have you put this on your Facebook page? Would you please do that right now? Would you please share the video? Would you please put some comments in there? We want to hear from you, okay? Michael says every hate group was started by the Democrats. I don't know if I could believe that. There's a lot of them, though. There's a lot of them. Let's see here. History is there to learn from, not change. It's idiotic to think you can change history. You can only change the future. That's right, Carmen. Oh, Jessica's on welfare. That's not a shock. Thank you, Jessica. You're welcome, by the way. We'll all work so you can slack. Danny's there in Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you, Danny. Let's see here. Here we go. The South lost, get over it. I guess I don't understand because, I mean, you think we don't know that the South lost? Do you think there are people watching this that are upset that the South lost? Yeah. Yeah, Jessica is a made-up name. She's not a real person, everybody. Okay? Not a real person. Jessica is the problem. See, Jessica comes on and she lies. It's probably a guy. Let's be honest. His name's probably Jimmy. Jimmy probably gets $20 a day for weed money from George Soros. And he goes around to big shows and he lies about who he is and makes up crap to try to make people angry. Your childish behavior doesn't affect me, Jimmy. I mean, you have a sad life. We all feel sorry for you. I'm sorry your daddy did whatever he did to make you up so hurt. It's time for you to grow up. You see, us adults, we can't take care of you forever. I know you're 35, 36, living at home with mommy. Mommy can't take care of you forever. And you can't expect everybody else to do it either. So it's sad. Let's see. Yep. People are saying it's financed by George Soros. Others came in. How much did the mayor get? Jennifer, thank you for nice comments about my father. I appreciate it. Lisa says it's starting in Richmond, Virginia. Yes, Jimmy, you are white trash in the house. Good for you. Let's see here. Lots of comments here. I wish I could keep up with everybody. I'm sorry about that. Let's see here. John says, it's insanity. Both sides of the war were U.S. citizens with U.S. generals. One side lost the war, one side won. The Confederate flag everyone bitches about was only flown for about 4 years by U.S. troops formed from 7 southern states. General Lee was an American U.S. general that surrendered after 3 years in North Virginia to the Union. Because of his reputation as one of the finest officers in the United States Army, Abraham Lincoln offered Lee the command of the federal forces in April 1861. Lee declined and tendered his resignation from the Army when the state of Virginia seceded on April 17th, arguing that he could not fight against his own people. Instead, he accepted a general's commission in the newly formed Confederate Army. That's history, no matter what they say. You are correct, sir. Anyway, we've got lots of nice comments. Kathy says, what's happening to our country? We worked many years, and my father, who was a factory worker, we never judged race, and all of a sudden it's been an issue. Let those move on and be a part to make us great again. I've been a nurse for 45 years. I've worked with blacks and Hispanics and whites. We've worked together as a team. We take good care of everyone in spite of color or creed. Move on, people. Love each other as God intended. Very well said, Kathy. Thank you. Okay. What else did I see that was interesting today on Facebook? What else did I see that was interesting in the news? Oh, this one was interesting. There was a post my friend James T. Harris put out. And let me try to bring it up. James Harris does a great radio show in Tucson. Anyway, he put this up. And James, by the way, he's a black guy. Again, everybody's so focused on race, I'll just tell you, James T. Harris is a black guy. And he looked up on Wikipedia different definitions. Black pride. Black pride is a movement encouraging people to take pride in being black. Related movements include black nationalism, Black Panthers, Afrocentrism, and black supremacy. The slogan has been used in the United States by African Americans to celebrate heritage and personal pride. Okay? Gay pride, or LGBT pride, is the positive stance against discrimination and violence towards lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people to promote their affirmation, dignity, equal rights, increase their visibility as a social group, build community, and celebrate sexual diversity and gender variance. Asian pride, also spelled A-Z-N, is a positive stance to being an Asian American. Term arose from influences of hip-hop culture within the Asian community. White pride. White pride is a slogan primarily used by white separatists, white nationalists, neo-Nazis, and white supremacist organizations to signal their racist viewpoints. What do you think of those definitions? I mean, and Trump gave some. I'll pull up Trump's speech today. All weekend long. Oh, Trump didn't say enough. So Trump comes out and says something. Oh, that's not good enough. It's never good enough with the left. Doesn't matter what Donald Trump says, what I say, what you say. Let's bring up the speech. Did you get a chance to watch it earlier today? Let's see if I can bring it up. Here we go. I thought it was an important speech and a powerful speech. And I never saw Barack Obama give a speech like this.
To meet with
Here we go.
my economic team about trade policy and major tax.
All right, that's the wrong one. Sorry about that. The computer is getting slow. It's time for me to get a new one. Let's see here. I guess now they have nothing left but to want an all-out war. Guess who has the most guns, liberals? Remember, you want to take them out? Yeah. That was Bonnie. Thank you, Scott. Nice comments. I appreciate it. Billy says, I'm glad you're not afraid to tell the truth. The media practices selective reporting. They take sides, and that's not right, but you can't do anything about it. Media sucks up to different groups to stop them from rioting and looting. Jessica, again, Obama's going to take away your guns. Well, I mean, he did try. He tried a number of times to pass certain laws that didn't go through Congress, thankfully. Let's see here. All right. I can't keep up with your comments. You guys are awesome today. Thank you very much. Let's get another... oh, you want something kind of funny? Do you guys know who Ed Sheeran is? Ed Sheeran is a pop singer, redhead guy.
Do you guys like Ed Sheeran?
My daughters anyway, love him. And there's a great bit that they did someplace in England or someplace in Europe anyway. And I love some of these videos where they kind of just do goofy things and they're not trying to make any kind of a political statement. They're just trying to be fun. Let's lighten it up just for a minute and then we'll get back to politics. But this is a cute bit here. It's about 2 minutes long here. Let's share it with you here on the Rusty Humphries Rebellion.
Sheeran? I love him. You love Ed Sheeran? $2? Peep show. Just got him sitting on stage in there.
Ah, you're lying.
Oh, $2. It's going to cost you $2. You only get 30 seconds though. You want to come in?
I don't believe you.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
We might be on here.
Here we go. Ed Sheeran Peep Show. He's there till midday. All right. Your choice.
No, she did the smart thing and walked away.
Listen, if you guys want... I'm just saying, if you guys want to have a go, he's sitting in there by himself. It'll probably get busy later on. $2, 30 seconds. I mean, you both can come if you want. Just $2 a head. Everything's above board, I can assure you.
I'm not going to get
Nah, absolutely not. Like, I can't guarantee what Ed'll do, but yeah, let's pay you $2.
And after 2 hours and 23 minutes, including some final hesitation, we finally found people brave enough to take a peek.
Did you guys go to peep shows a lot, or?
No, there's some kind of...
There you go, man. Keep your clothes on, stay on the seat, behave yourselves. Just listen to the announcement. Have a good one. Enjoy your peep.
Hello, welcome to the Peep Show. Your time will start in 5 seconds.
I'm actually a bit scared.
Darling, I will be loving you till we're 70. Baby, my heart can still fall as hard at 23. And I'm thinking about how people fall in love.
Your time is finished. Thank you very much for peeping.
All right, guys, there you go. Did you have fun? There you go. Yeah, there you go. A little bit of it. Have a good one.
Oh my God, I love you.
Take it easy.
So if you're listening to the
Finally,
podcast,
a successfully baffled couple, and from there, people started rolling in.
so there's a guy outside of a thing that looks like an adult bookstore. It says Peep Show, Ed Sheeran Peep Show. And it really is him. Funny.
Loving can hurt. I've been spinning out the time. Couple women by my side. People fall in love in mysterious ways. Baby, just the touch of a hand. So honey, now take me into your loving arms. That's right. Kiss me under the light of 1,000 stars. Place your head on my beating heart now. I'm thinking now, love, maybe we...
Peep complete.
Wicked.
There you go, mate.
$2 over the spoon.
There you go. Yeah, we think it's pretty good value.
That's the best $2 I've ever spent.
Okay, well, there we go. Anyway, just kind of funny. Just something to lighten things up a little bit. Anyway, do me a favor, share the video, would you please? Let people know that we're here. Also, if you would do me another favor, and that is, if you'd like and share the video, that would be great. Like and share, like and share, like and share, like and share. And then also, if you would, if you have any arthritis pain or if you have back pain, would you please go to your nearest Walmart, Walgreens, or CVS and go get Australian Dream. It is a moisturizing formula that is absolutely amazing. You apply it directly to where it hurts, and your pain will go away. And what's awesome is it doesn't smell, it doesn't burn, it's not greasy, and it works. What more do you want? Seriously, it works. So do me a favor, go get your Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream, Walmart, Walgreens, and other great retailers. And if they don't have it at your retailer, well then, by gosh, it's not a good place and don't shop there anymore. I'm kidding, but thanks for checking that out for me, if you would, please. Great sponsor. And, hey, we need sponsors. We don't have George Soros throwing around millions of dollars or other people who want to destroy our country throwing money our way. Let's see. Gladys says, can we forget about Obama and Hillary, please? They did a lot to hurt this country, but we are trying to clean up their mess. Yes. William says, it wasn't your computer, Rusty. It was those liberal tears from Jessica shorting out your PC. First of all, never accuse me of using a PC, ever. No, I'm kidding. I am an Apple guy. Okay. American citizens can disagree in some ways. Everyone does, but that doesn't make us enemies. You are so right. That's the problem. That's what I keep trying to say. We can disagree. It's okay. We have a problem, though, when you have an entire half the population, or a little bit less than that, who are fighting against the president to the point where they don't want to acknowledge the president, or even more so, they don't want to acknowledge laws they don't like. Great example. Sheriff Joe Arpaio. You may not like him. I do. He's a friend of mine. Sheriff Joe is following the law. The law is written out. It says what you can do, what you can't do. If you're an illegal immigrant, the word illegal is there. And illegal immigrants are causing a lot of problems in the Phoenix, Arizona area in Maricopa County. So what does the Obama administration do? They sue the sheriff. The president of the United States gets his government lawyers to sue the sitting elected sheriff of Maricopa County, and then they put in federal officers to sit in his office all day long. And just watch him. What you doing now, Joe? What you doing now? Now what you doing, Joe? I was at his office. I saw him. They were creepy. Creepy, these people were. Now what you doing, Joe? What you doing? Racist. Because they got nothing else. Then they put in a Democrat judge who does not allow to have a jury. And this judge finds Sheriff Joe guilty of basically being a racist. For following the laws, by the way. The judge isn't following the laws. Sheriff Joe was following the laws. See, Democrats, again, if they don't get their way, if they lose at the ballot box, they cheat. And they get as many judges in as they can. And those judges cheat and lie and disregard what precedent is. They just make up crap. Just make it up. Just make it up. Janice says, think what life here in America will be like in 70 years. I really hope we can turn it around. You know, you may not like President Trump. I do. You say, well, he hasn't done very much. How do you do stuff when every time you turn around, some politician is trying to mess with you? Even in your own party. I said this before he ever got elected. I predicted his election years out. Okay, I was one of the first people to predict he would run, and then I was one of the first people to predict he would win. How could you do that, Rusty? It was simple for me. We were a country that was starving for leadership. Barack Obama was one of the weakest leaders in the history of our country. And so the country was starving for leadership, starving for jobs, starving for just something that we could do for ourselves. Get the damn government out of the way. That's what it was about. And we couldn't do it. But what was the number one show on television for years and years and years? Was Donald Trump being a leader. And the biggest stars in the world came on his show and cowered before him. And what did they all call him? Donald? They call him names? No. Yes, Mr. Trump. No, Mr. Trump. And I knew that the American people were starving for leadership, and especially people that don't pay attention to politics. They're looking for something. Barack Obama sure as hell didn't do anything for them. The only person Barack Obama helped out were the unions and really rich people. Where the hell the Democrats say they're for the working man, I don't know. Yeah, Pamela says, sounds like the president may pardon Joe. Yes, I was going to get to that. Thank you for reminding me. That's the latest, that President Trump is thinking about pardoning Sheriff Joe, and he should. He should. Sheriff Joe has given a lot to this country. Before he was a sheriff of Maricopa County, he was in the FBI. He stopped drugs from coming across the border. He's a good man. And he's old. I mean, he's getting up there. He's in his 80s. I've spent time with him. He's tired. And this isn't doing him any good, and it's not doing our country any good. Let's see. Joyce says, it's okay to disagree, but I don't like it when someone tries to force their beliefs and then states racism if we don't accept their idiotism. Lyndon says, creepy equals globalists. William says, America is broken. We cannot fix the ignorant of the masses. We label everything and everyone. I'm tired of seeing signs that say, we will not let hate win. The ignorant people only see the word hate. Therefore, it is programmed into their tiny brains. Greg says, if you like our president or not, he is our commander-in-chief. At least respect the office of our leader, or get out. Anyway, anything else I really want to get off my chest tonight? I try to keep these shows less than an hour. I don't want to bore you. We're here every night, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West. If you missed the live video, we put the podcast out every day. It's on iTunes, or Stitcher, or iHeartRadio, or any place you can. Google Play, I think it's on. So pretty much any place you can find podcasts, you can find the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. And love for you to, if you would please, share it. Have you shared this video yet? Oh, I got one more thing I got to share with you. I saw this on Gateway Pundit earlier today. This was good, too. White supremacist leader in Charlottesville, Jason Kessler, was an Obama supporter and an Occupy protester. Look at this. White supremacist and Unite the Right leader Jason Kessler was once reportedly a supporter of Barack Obama and the Occupy movement. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, an organization that is certainly no friend of conservatives, Kessler revealed his political transformation around November 2016, the same month that then-candidate Donald Trump won the presidential election. Southern Poverty Law Center, again, this is not a conservative group by any means, Rumors abound on white nationalist forums that Kessler's ideology pedigree before 2016 was less than pure and seems to point to the involvement in the Occupy movement and past support for President Obama. At one recent speech in favor of Charlottesville's status as a sanctuary city, Kessler live-streamed himself as an attendee, questioned him, and apologized for an undisclosed spat during Kessler's apparent involvement with the Occupy movement. Kessler appeared visibly perturbed by the woman's presence and reminders of past association. Something else that was interesting, too. I saw it someplace else. Anyway, so this guy, on Sunday, a violent leftist mob shut down a press conference by white nationalists Richard Spencer and Jason Kessler outside the Charlottesville City Hall. So again, you got to tell me, how is it possible you're a huge Obama supporter, you were part of the Occupy movement, and then coincidentally, the month that President Trump gets elected, you go, I'm a member of the Klan. I just hate everybody. How do you do that? Or is it what I suggested earlier? The left projecting what they assume conservatives are because they don't want to listen. They don't want to ask questions. They don't want to learn everything. They know everything. Just ask them. They're really smart. Just ask them. Is it possible that this guy concocted this crappy Klan thing in order to make conservatives look bad and make President Trump look bad? Is that possible? I would say not only possible, I would say it's probable. What say you? Have you shared the video? Would you please do it? Carl says, Kentucky vet here, best way to learn from the past is not to look for personal gain, but to find the best ways to change for the better good. Seems like some of the leaders out there look only to help themselves and their own. When this happens, the majority are primarily affected, but that is the same as a generation thinking that they're owed something. 2 Chronicles 7:14. I pray for my country and this world. Says, I thank you for your father's service. Thank you, Carl, for your service. I also thank you if you have already purchased your book. If you haven't, would you please go do it? 7 Ways to Win Political Debates with Your Liberal Family and Friends and Still Keep Them as Family and Friends. It is an interesting book. It is powerful. It's funny. And you will learn how to debate people in your social circle and not have it ruin the relationship, hopefully. Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream is awesome. If you'd get that, that would be much appreciated. Walmart, Walgreens, other great retailers. My podcast, it's out there, iTunes, Stitcher, and then my website. You can see it right here if you're paying attention. If you're listening, it is rustylive.com. rustylive.com. One word, rustylive.com. 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 Kimberly shared it. Thank you, Kimberly. You rock. Lyndon, thank you. William, thank you. That's it, everybody. 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West. We're live on Facebook almost every night. You can always catch the podcast as well. That's called the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. And if you're looking for another great podcast, my good friends Mark Young and Chuck Woolery host a show called Blunt Force Truth. It's really, really good. You'll like it. Go check that out. That is it for me. See you tomorrow. May God bless you. And may God bless America. Thanks for hanging out. I'm Rusty Humphries, and this is the Rusty Humphries Rebellion.